In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the remediation wizard. The first thing I'd like to show you is my review though, because it's a core component of how the remediation system works. I'm logged in right now as a student and I'm going to click my review so I can use it as an example. For every student, ProdigyConnect constantly tracks their performance in every individual topic in the NBCRNA Candidate Handbook. It combines their performance statistics with the odds that each of those topics will actually appear on boards and will deliver it in a prioritized list. So for this student, it's indicating that the topic that this student is most likely to encounter on boards and miss is anesthetic delivery systems. The general concept is that if a student takes an exam and then opens up my review and studies anesthetic delivery systems, their knowledge in that area should improve and their performance should begin to improve on subsequent exams. As they do, anesthetic delivery systems will begin to trickle down the list as the next statistically most relevant topics percolate to the top. For more information on my review, we have an entire video dedicated to show how it works and how students should use it. But for now, I wanted you to understand that this is where the remediation wizard gets its information to make its recommendations. You'll see the remediation button closer to the right at the top of the faculty window. Let's say that we are wanting to create a remediation blueprint for a particular student. The one that I'm going to use is the demo student called Student User. If I click that student's name, then a list of the topics from their My Review panel will appear in the list below. Although all of the topics they've been exposed to will appear in the list, you can limit the number of topics that you would like them to review so that they can focus on the most important ones. So if you select 10, then it's only going to choose the top 10 items in the list. Let's say that we are going to leave it at 25. And sensitivity level we can ignore for now because that's used as a calculation when you're performing remediation wizards for an entire class. We'll come back to that. Once we've selected our student and the maximum number of topics, we can click Proceed to be taken to the Blueprint Creator. If you haven't already watched the video on the Blueprint Designer, I recommend that you take a look at it because it'll go into much more detail than we will here on all of the buttons and the options that you have in creating your blueprint. For now, notice that instead of the folders that represent the materials in the Prodigy library, we have a folder that contains this student's name. If I open it up, you'll see that it contains those materials from their My Review, their performance-based data. We also have the same selectors that we would have in creating any other blueprint. So let's say that we wanted this student to review this material over 4 weeks. Actually, I'll change it to 6 weeks. And we would like them to begin studying that information. We'd like their blueprint to begin on January 9th. You'll notice that the dates have changed on the tops of each of the weeks. And if we wanted to, we could select each item as we would in creating a blueprint and assign each individual item to each week. But if we prefer, we can click the folder, the student user folder. So you'll notice now that I've clicked it, it's highlighted with a blue square around it. And I can click the D key on my keyboard. You'll notice there's a note here that describes this. I can click the D key on my keyboard and it will automatically distribute those items as evenly as possible across the number of weeks that you've selected. So now all that's left to do is to click Save Blueprint. And now our blueprint has been saved. You can now assign this remediation blueprint to your student in the calendar, and you can see that in the course of just a few minutes, we created a remediation plan that was based on the statistically calculated performance data for that student, prioritized by the odds that material will actually appear on boards. And just like any other blueprint that you create, it's going to automatically generate summary quizzes at the end of each week based just on each week's reading material. So you can follow your students' performance as they progress through this remediation blueprint. The faculty dashboard gives you a lot of information that we don't cover in this video, but one thing that I did want to show you was this list that says students by inverse order of performance. If we want to drill down into a specific student's exam performance, let's say I wanted to look at Joanna Bailey. I can click her name in this list and we'll access a faculty dashboard solely based on this one student. So this is where we can see everything that this student has done. One of the items on the student dashboard is a list of that student's My Review topics, right here. If we wanted to jump ahead and create a remediation blueprint for this student, there's a button right above the list that says Click to Create Remedial Blueprint. If I click it, then it takes us directly to the Blueprint Designer. It shows all of the materials for that student where we could quickly choose a duration that we would like this to cover, select a start date, let's say January 16th for this student. I could set the maximum number of weekly questions that will be generated in the summary quizzes. And while I've got Joanna Bailey's folder highlighted in blue, I can click the D key on my keyboard and it will automatically distribute all of the information from her My Review list into this remediation blueprint. Now all that's left to do is to click Save Blueprint and we can assign it to Joanna. We're back in the Remediation Wizard because I wanted to show you that not only can you create a remediation plan for individual students, if you want, you can also create one for an entire class. So if I click the Entire Class option, I now have a list of the classes in my system. So I'll click Class of 2017. What's interesting is that you'll note only one topic came up, and that's where the sensitivity level comes in. So the way this works is that it uses the My Review data, that statistical performance data, but it averages it for every student as an entire class. Because it averages the material for an entire class, it uses a minimum number of exposures to an individual topic before it includes it in the calculations. So here we have one topic listed, which means that the sensitivity level is set too high. If we drop it to a lower number of exposures to that topic, then our list will expand quite a bit. Now that we have a list of topics that we'd like to work with, we can choose the maximum number of topics we'd like the students to review and click Proceed. And just like in the individual remediation blueprint, we have a folder. However, instead of a student's name, this one represents the entire class. So if I click to open it, I can determine a duration for the study plan, a start date, a maximum number of questions, and if I click the folder again to highlight it, and then click the D key on my keyboard, it will distribute those topics evenly across the blueprint. If I click the Save Blueprint button, I can now assign this blueprint to the class of 2017 through the faculty calendar. For more detailed information on some of the features that we've covered in this video, I recommend that you watch the videos dedicated to My Review, to the Blueprint Designer, to the faculty dashboard, and watch the video on tracking quiz scores, which will show you how to get the students' data from the quizzes that they've taken.